So my life before Christ, I was so void then. I was so empty, and I struggled a lot with mental illness, a lot with depression and just feeling alone. And I just didn't really know what to do about it. I would come to Miss Taylor after class and I would ask her for advice. I'd be like, listen, I have this going on in my life. I need help.
We do a Bible survey class. We go from Genesis to Revelation in 180 days. Well, one of the goals of my class is to find Jesus and find the gospel in every single book of the Bible. So we just took some time to look at what she was going through the light of the gospel and trying to make some connections with what we were talking about in class and what was going on in our life.
I wasn't really surrounded with the best crowd, and so I started to become more like them. I started to do the exact same things they were doing because I wanted to fit in.
I was able to just be intentional with her and say, hey, in our lesson today, we learned to listen to God a lot of times by the people who are influencing us, or the people around us influencing us toward things of the spirit or toward things of the flesh.
And I started to kind of look at my friends differently. They're putting other people down, they're putting themselves down. That really impacts you as a person. I realized that fitting in with those type of people is not worth it. Then I just felt this need to my life has to change. I remember when I gave my life to Christ, it was in chapel. God, I know I'm a sinner. I've been learning about Bible, and I think that was what really just set me to just pray that prayer. From that moment on, I wasn't afraid to raise my hands in worship. I wasn't afraid to sing out loud. And there are a few thoughts oh my gosh, what are they gonna think? They're all silent, just crossing their arms, and here I am just worshiping and praising. But it didn't matter because it's not for me, it's for Him.
That's right.
And so when I started switching my crowd into more Christ-like people who follow Jesus, really fiercely, I started to notice my language changing. I started to notice I conducted myself differently. I started to notice how much more kind I was to others, and I was following in their path. And we feed off of each other like that, and we lift each other up and we grow.
I've seen this joy and this life just bubble up inside of her. I just see brightness in her eyes and this vibrancy that comes because of knowing Christ.
And so now I'm in worship team, now I'm in student ministry, and I got baptized. I was scared. I was like, wait, but what are people gonna think of me? All my friends are gonna see that, this is a big statement. And then I started to come back up, put myself above God. I actually realized I was doing that, and I basically said, I'm gonna put God above me. And so that's when I started to not feel ashamed of who I was through Christ, or who Christ was. Since becoming a Christian, Jesus' characteristics definitely became my characteristics, because before, again, following the crowd, I would be putting other people down, I would be putting myself down, and then now, in contrast with that, I'm uplifting myself, which is the biggest change, and I'm uplifting others, and that's mind blown, basically, because you have this person who was so bitter and so sad and just so empty versus this person who's so full of life and so full of compassion and empathy towards others. Literally reborn. It's crazy.